Salutations, party people. K-Murdock here with you, and I want to speak to you about an event myself and some of my NPC brethren had the fortune of being a part of recently. And the event is called Blerdcon. It's an event that happened here in my hometown of Washington, D.C. Actually happened in the suburbs of D.C., outside of D.C. in Virginia, but anyone knows, uh, we affectionately call it the DMV, the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia, Northern Virginia specifically. But anyway, it was amazing. I had the chance to go and host a panel about video games and hip hop and uh, uh, contrasting and comparing the similarities and the differences of the two, and looking at the histories and how they commingled and converged over the last 30 years, both in a good and not so good way, and then kind of how they intertwined to make nerdcore. And I spoke specifically about myself in relation to that, and how, as a blerd, a black nerd, all my life, it was pretty cool that I was able to talk about these things, like the fact that I spent a lot of my summers in middle school and even high school playing video games that weren't the ones that I was allowed to talk about with my friends in the neighborhood, like Madden and Street Fighter and NBA Jam and all that stuff. But I spent many a summer playing Chrono Trigger and Breath of Fire and Shining Force and games like that, while also listening to the likes of MOP and Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang Clan and all these other people, or artists rather. So when I was at Blerdcon, I got to be amongst my people, and not just like fellow nerds, but fellow nerds of color, much like we have in the NPC. And I think that's important, man, because over the last 7 years, I've been able to travel and go to a lot of places where you see, people doing cosplay and showing, wearing their fandom like a badge of honor. But admittedly, when I go to these conventions, I don't see a lot of people who, they might feel like me, but they don't always look like me. And it's important, man. Especially now as a father, I think about, my daughter, who is of now mixed ethnicity, and making sure that when she goes and is around kids who definitely are different, but there are some who look like her. And as much as I'm a staunch supporter of making sure that no matter where you are, but it's all about who you are and being special and unique and all that stuff, I do think seeing people who look like you can be inspirational. That's why a lot of people didn't, not everyone, and I'm sure if you listen to this, hopefully you understood, but why the significance of seeing a person like Barack Obama at the position he was in was so important, because it was unprecedented to have a person, a black man, as president. And now that he's done it, it's like, okay, someone else can do it too. So anyway, the festival or convention, whatever you want to call it, Blerdcon was awesome. I got to see a lot of my friends, people, like I said, who felt like me, and also who looked like me, and all kinds of, not just people of African American descent. There were people who were Asian there. There was Latinos there. There's white people there. It was like great just to see the commingling of all these different races and vibes, and it was just super cool to see, and almost somewhat emotional to look out at the crowd and just see people who you can tell probably hadn't been around a lot of people like them, that felt like them and that looked like them, and it felt like they could take off their cool, so to speak, or their facades and just be themselves. And it was super awesome to not only like witness, but also to be a part of. And on top of that, I got to see some amazing panels. I also got to participate in some amazing performances that last I guess, full day Saturday, my NPC brethren, Soultron and D&D Sluggers, as well as IQ, the big homie IQ. Man, they showed up and showed out along with, the NPC affiliate, so to speak, Maverick DeRonan from Philadelphia, who, he was telling me, all this stuff was new to him. And it was a bit of a really cool experience for him to see him kind of taking it all in, not only because it was like his first con that he was invited to as a guest, but also because he too, even though he's from a pretty densely populated area of African Americans in Philadelphia, he doesn't see a lot of people like who share the same kind of fandoms as he does in Philly. So again, I think that was the biggest takeaway I got from it. And like I said, from traveling and seeing people over the last 6 or 7 years in places like Chicago and Atlanta and even in Cali, you go to these conventions and you might see some people sprinkled in or peppered in, people of color, that is, but you don't, to me, I wish I saw more. So to go to Blerdcon and see almost the majority of people there be people of African American descent, it was totally awesome and very important. So anyway, enough rambling. I just once again wanted to share my thoughts and just say thanks to the guys at Blerdcon for having myself as well as IQ and D&D Sluggers and Maverick out. And I hope that next year, one, that it happens again because it's super important, and two, that there's some more NPC representation there. Actually, I know for a fact there was a big pop in the crowd in my panel when I mentioned the likes of people like Samus and Magaran and Xavier Woods. So I think it'd be even awesomer if we could make more of a impact and have more of a presence there. But regardless, it was awesome to be there and participate in. And even if I never get invited back as a guest, I definitely will show my support and patronage as an attendee in the future. So Blerdcon, 2 thumbs up. Yes, 2 thumbs up with the light skin brown emoji.